Okay, so that was Blackboard. So just reiterate very quickly, you're going to find the syllabus and all those other documents that are there, including the entering survey or questionnaire. The PowerPoint presentations will all be found in there for lab and lecture. All my pre-recorded video lectures are there. You are not missing one single one. They are all there. I spend a lot of time talking about those review question sets that I created. Make sure you do those. They're very important to do, okay? But I don't have the answers to them. The answers are in my videos and in my PowerPoints. Any announcements, all the emails will be found there, okay? Lab material, you'll be able to retrieve the lab reports, the laundry list of the structures you need to know. You'll be able to go to Mastering A&P and look at the different models of anatomy, or you're going to use the virtual microscope and so forth. Discussion boards will be also there. All right, the ones that I'm talking about are the ones that are in the assessments. Those are the ones that are graded with a rubric. All the online quizzes and exams will be over there. Remember how to utilize smarter proctoring when we're dealing with the exams. Also, the best place, the only place to get in contact with me is going to be this inbox Blackboard mail, okay? I can't overemphasize this. This is the only place I'll be looking at. I check it 2 to 3 times a day. You should be checking this at least twice a day, maybe 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then another time in the evening, because I do send emails 2, maybe 3 a day. Okay, not every day, but I'm just saying, you know, you don't want to miss one that was done, let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you don't check until the following morning. I could have gave you some good tips or something. Okay. So that's what you're going to find on Blackboard. All right. Whoop. All right. So the course schedule, I just want to say refer to the syllabus. Okay. If there's any holidays, I made it so that no tests or no assignments. So no tests will be taken on that day or due on that day. No assignment would be due on that day or taken on that day on holidays or even during holiday breaks, including spring break, okay? It's only the holidays that CCM is closed. So CCM is not closed on certain holidays. They're closed on Labor Day, but they're not closed on Columbus Day. I don't think they're closed on President's Day. So but they're closed on 4th of July. So whenever CCM is closed, you won't have an assignment or a test that's due on that day. But if CCM is open on that holiday, don't be surprised if something's due. But you will have a number of days to do them. You could do it the day before the due date, right? There are some due dates that will occur on Saturdays and Sundays. I know CCM will be closed on Sunday, but that's not really a holiday. So certain things might open or close on those, all right? If there is a holiday, then I will more likely, and it's like if you have 2 days to do a lecture quiz, and I open it on Saturday, it would end on a Monday. And if that's Labor Day, well, I'm going to extend it to be due on the day after Labor Day. So you'll actually have an extra day to do that. So just giving you a heads up, nothing will be due on a holiday or spring break, okay? Holiday break, like Thanksgiving break, that kind of thing. All right. Lecture lab material, at least in A&P 1, it doesn't unfortunately correlate very well. Meaning that neurology will probably it will begin in lecture while we're still in muscles in lab. And the reason for that is because neurology lecture is 5 chapters, but neurology lab is only 2 chapters. So we need to start the neurology lecture much earlier to make sure that we could actually do 5 chapters, okay? So because of that, it's not going to really correlate as well. So I'm sorry about that. It's not just my class. It's not just CCM. It's nationwide. It's usually like that, okay? A&P2 is a different story. They're pretty much works together. You're doing the same week with digestive system in lecture as you are with digestive system in lab. It just seems to correlate a lot better in A&P2. A&P1, you're going to see it venturing off into like a Y, like two different directions when we deal with lecture and lab. So it's going to feel as though you're taking two classes at the same time. All right. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Now, lab material. So there's certain subjects that will not be tested in lecture, but only in lab. Okay. There is something that kind of goes with both. Let's say for histology, which is the study of tissues when cells are kind of glued together. There is microscope slide images. So there's actually images that you'll be tested in lab, but not in lecture. Okay. So the pictures will be in lab, but the theory of histology can be lab and lecture. For instance, I might throw you a picture. What type of tissue is this? I can't ask that in lecture. I will ask that in lab. However, if I say this tissue is found in what part of the body, that could be in lab, but in lecture, I could still ask the same question, but I might say, I know, don't worry about the name. Pseudostratified epithelium is found in what part of the body? So I'm asking the same theoretical question on lecture and lab, but you will, on the lab portion, you're going to actually have a picture, where the lecture, it'll be just some words. So the theory will be in both, but not the pictures. However, it's a little bit different when we deal with bones. The actual names of the bones, like the humerus, the radius, the femur, the parts of the femur, and so forth, that's going to be, even though there's a chapter in your lecture textbook, it's going to be tested in lab. Likewise, the actual names of the muscles, like the pectoralis major muscle, the biceps muscles, that's the names of the muscles, and their actions will be tested in lab. It's also in chapter 10 of the lecture textbook. What we're going to do mainly with the bones and the muscles in lecture is going to be the physiology, and maybe a little bit of the microscopic physiology too. So that's going to be in there, but the actual names of these bones and muscles, that's going to be lab. It'll make more sense when we get closer to that in the semester. Okay. Okay. So I mentioned to you about this syllabus quiz. All right. I don't know if you saw it, but when I showed you the you'll be taking it in the Smarter Proctoring area of Blackboard, it was called a practice syllabus quiz. It's not really practice, though. It is going to count. It's 10 multiple choice questions. You'll have 30 minutes to do it. Remember, you are going to download and print out the syllabus quiz preview for your notes. As you watch this video, hopefully that's already been printed out and you're filling in certain things as I'm mentioning, doing the multiple choice as we go along this, or it's going to be found in the syllabus itself, so that you have all the answers on that sheet. It shouldn't take 30 minutes to do that, maybe 5 minutes to do it, if anything. Okay, so all you need to do is just transfer your answers to the actual online syllabus quiz. That's it. Okay, answers, like I said, are in the syllabus or in this video lecture that you're watching. It is worth 1% of your final grade, so it is not an optional thing. It's a requirement. Okay, I have it open on day 1 because you have to have Blackboard open. So day 1 it will open. My suggestion is to get it done by day 1 or day 2 at the very latest. And again, you're gonna have to do this, go to assessments. The instructions are there. You go to assessments first on the dashboard, and then you're gonna see that Smarter Proctoring banner at the top. If this is your first time using Smarter Proctoring and you didn't do that practice quiz, as I mentioned, then it's going to ask you for to set up your Smarter Proctoring account. Okay, once you do that, it's a one-time deal, at least for that computer. Okay, if you have to change computers, you might have to go through that process again. All right. All right, so lecture tests, there's going to be lecture exams. Okay. Now, before I do that, I just want to mention where you were talking about the course schedule. Go back to the course schedule on your syllabus. It's around page 16, 17 on your syllabus. It'll say on the top course schedule. And then the very next page, you're going to see a wonderful, colorful thing on lecture and lab and the dates of like each week when certain things are going to take place. That's basically your course calendar. Instead of in calendar form, it's actually in a chart form. It's the same information, whether you want to use that or not. I think the course calendar is much more detailed, and I think you should use that more often. This is just like looking over as the overview. You put off to the side, and so you can see that. Okay. All right. So yeah, the next page after that is basically the lecture exams. There's going to be 3 component exams. They will have anywhere from 75 to 80 questions each. You will have 75 minutes to complete it. It opens on a certain day at midnight, and then it will close depending on if you're in an accelerated course or not. You'll either have it 3 days to do it or 7 days to do it, but it will always end at 5 p.m. Okay. Keep this in mind that it closes at 5 p.m. So if you have 75 minutes, if you want to have the full 75 minutes, the latest that you can start this is at 3:45 p.m. And I would not recommend that, because what if you have problems with the internet? Okay, so if you do and it closes, it's going to be very difficult to restart. You're not going to be able to restart it. You're going to have to get my permission. I have to go through the whole thing to see what went wrong, to see if it actually is a legitimate reason. I have to go back and see what's going on. So anyway, that's what that is. No lecture exam can be dropped. There is one comprehensive exam, all right, that is departmental. It's 100 points. You will have 80 questions for it and 75 minutes. It will open on a certain day at midnight and will close on a certain day at 5 p.m. Again, that'll depend on if you're taking an accelerated course or not. You will either have 3 days to do it or a week to do it, 7 days. And these are both going to be proctored using smarter proctoring. Lecture quizzes, just want to mention there's going to be 10 lecture quizzes, pretty much one for each chapter. Okay, you will have 10 questions of multiple choice questions, 14 minutes to do each one. I do drop the lowest graded lecture quiz. Okay, this encourages you to gauge yourself. You should say, well, when should I be done with this chapter? Well, definitely by the time this lecture quiz is due, you should definitely be done with that chapter. So this is gauging you so that it doesn't create procrastination and that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You know when each chapter should be done because the lecture quiz will be open. Okay, watch my video web links as I showed you in my live lectures. The quizzes will be based off of those video lectures and my PowerPoints. Okay, you will have 48 hours to do it. It will open on 8 a.m. on certain days and will close always 2 days later at 8 a.m. The only exceptions is if there's a holiday in between. Maybe if I open it on Saturday and Labor Day is on a Monday, then I'm going to give you 72 hours for that particular one because it won't be due until the day after Labor Day. Okay. No lecture quiz can be made up, no exceptions. This is because I'm allowing you to drop the lowest lecture quiz. Okay. Now, for the lecture quizzes only, you may use a 3x5 inch index card, and you could write anything you want on it, front or back. I do this with even my live classes. Okay, nothing could be Xerox or scanned. nothing permitted like that. No extra pages. I know how students get really smart with that. Basically, the reason why I have you do this is to, it encourages you to read and watch my PowerPoints and video web links. And it also helps you collect your thoughts on what you feel are the highlights. Like you're not ready to have this particular domino effect to be memorized yet, but I know I need to go to that. So you might want to do that domino. This leads to this, leads to this, or whichever. So it just gives you some leverage for the quizzes. Okay, you can only use one index card per lecture quiz, and only use these for the lecture quizzes. Do not, I repeat, do not use these for any other tests, the lab tests or the lecture exams. That would be considered cheating because we'll be watching you on that. Okay, so I know it's difficult to monitor online, that you're not using a 3x5 card on this, using something bigger. So just be very mindful that, you know, these cards are not going to be used for the major exams. So you don't want to have like pages in your notebook and all that open because you are not training yourself properly for that lecture exam. I'm allowing you to have a 3x5 card for the lecture quizzes just because you haven't memorized certain things or just, you know, collect your thoughts kind of the first time going through it. But you won't be able to use these for your exams, okay? All right, so the laboratory tests, basically we refer to them as lab practical exams. You're gonna have 3 of them, and you're more likely going to have a picture and there's gonna be a question or 2 about it, okay? It's gonna be 50 questions. You will have 45 minutes to do this, to do each one of these exams. They will be fill in the blank or short answer, like a sentence or 2. That's about it. Okay, no essays. There are no multiple choice on this. All my quizzes and exams, lecture exams, are going to be, so all the lecture quizzes and all lecture exams will be multiple choice, but the lab practical exams will have no multiple choice. It will be fill in the blank or these short answers. Again, just like the lecture exams, they will open on a certain day at midnight and will close, again, whether accelerated or not accelerated, 3 days or 7 days later, it will close at 5 p.m., okay? No practical exam can be dropped. Okay, these practical exams, as much as the lecture exams, are going to be proctored by Smarter Proctoring. So you got to follow that same protocol. I also have something called Anatomy Lab Quest. Now, a quest is, in my instance here, it does not mean a journey or trek. All right, it's really a hybrid of, I didn't want you to get confused on a quiz or an exam or a test or something. So I kind of made it of a hybrid of quiz and test, and we just call it a quest. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I've been doing it for the past 15 plus years, and that's what everybody calls it for me. Basically, this is something that is going to test you on terms, anatomical terms, and directional terms that you'll learn from chapter 1, but also actions, movements, flexion, extension, rotation, that kind of stuff. I need you to know these materials cold, ice cold. In other words, fast. I need you to know these very fast prior to us going into the musculoskeletal system of the lab, because there's going to be so many other big words in there. I need you to know these basic terms and actions before we enter there. So I created this so-called quest. They are very fast questions to answer, though. There's 50 questions. They're quicker to answer. If I said to you, what color is a banana? Yellow. Very fast kind of thing. I'm not asking you about applying things. I just want you to do that. So that's why there's only 25 minutes to do 50 questions. I know it sounds very short, but most students are done in 20 minutes. And I've timed them when we do these online courses. So they're very easy to answer. It's all multiple choice or matching. So there isn't any writing to do, okay? It is not proctored, but no notes are to be used. It's only going to, if you use your notes, it's not going to help you much when we deal with these bigger things. So really try to get these under your belt, these terms. And the quest cannot be dropped. Now, I also have something called a bonus quiz. Ooh, a bonus quiz. Finally, something with a bonus, right? All right, so Blackboard doesn't have a format where I could add bonus questions on lecture exams or any kind of exams for that matter. If you were taking a live class, that's easy to do because you have a hard copy of a test. I could just add things on there, but it doesn't have that. So I created this bonus quiz, okay? It's 60 questions. You'll have 55 minutes to do it. I'll give you more or less, it depends on the accelerated course or not, anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 days, depends. But you can only do it in one sitting, all right? It occurs just before the final lecture exam, all right? It's comprehensive. Think of it as a mini version of a final lecture exam, okay? So if you claim all 60 points, okay, then what's going to happen is on your 3 component lecture exams, you're going to have 2 percentage points added to each one. So let me just give you an example. Let's say your 3 component exams were 70, 80, and 90%. Well, now if you got this all correct, now you're going to have 72, 82, and 92% on these 3 exams. Okay, so that's basically what it is. Doing this won't hurt your grade. If you don't do this, then they'll stay at 70, 80, and 90. Okay, it can only help your grade. If you only get 30 points of these correct, then I'll make it go up 1 percentage point. Like there's a scale with that. Okay, it's a good opportunity to also see your strengths and weaknesses just before the final exam. Okay, I'm going to allow you to have 2 attempts to do this, and I'll take the best grade of the 2. All right. You will most likely see the different questions. You may have some of the same questions, but they come from the same test bank as all your other questions. So it's coming from a test bank of probably 300 questions. So you may have more, you're more likely to have mostly different questions on the second time. So if you want to be exposed to different questions, then yeah, I would definitely take the 2 attempts. Okay. Remember, I take the best of the 2. All right. So since you have 2 attempts, this bonus quiz cannot be made up. No exceptions. Okay.